right, let's talk about the flag planting field skirmishes controversy that's been happening all weekend. We thought it was just going to be in college football, but it happened on the NFL fields. They had 4 major brawls in the NFL as well. But it all started with this ugly Michigan-Ohio State brawl that broke out as the Wolverines tried to plant their flag after an upset win that the Ohio State team called classless. What are your thoughts, Robbie, on what happened here? And we'll go take a look at a clip of it here in a second, but just want to get your take on it.
So it happened a bunch of times this weekend, and clearly I'm reading a lot of comment sections on this, and you could kind of see how people line up with how they feel about it, whether they have an allegiance to one side or the other. I didn't care about any of these teams in terms of rooting for or against, or I didn't care who won, etc. So I feel like my viewpoint on this is pretty down the middle, but I really feel strongly that they have to get rid of planting your flag on someone else's field. I think it's such an act of disrespect that if I'm the coach, I'm going to tell my team, go take care of this. You don't have to sit there and watch that. If you're a visiting team,
So you don't blame the Ohio State team for going and defending their
not
field?
at all. Not at all. You can't allow another team to come in there and not only beat you, but then go plant their flag as a total disrespect. Me personally, I'd be horrified if my team did this. I would want my team to get the win, go shake hands like classy young men that I'm teaching you how to be, and get yourself to the locker room, and let's get out of town with the win. And anything else, I mean, honestly, Ohio State fans were so mad that could you really guarantee the safety of the players getting out of that stadium? I mean, you know, I I just think this is a really bad idea. It's not that cool. I'm all for losing.
It makes your team look classless. It makes your school look
It does.
lower class. We know Ann Arbor is a classy school, okay, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, okay.
No, it's
And
not
this,
Michigan's fault. There's been people who've gone before them that have done this, and therefore, they want to have fun with it. And they don't see the downside of it. Actually, I've read a lot today that Baker Mayfield kind of started this in I think it was 2017 or
mhm,
2019, 2017, when he did it at Ohio State.
mhm.
I think I got that right. He planted the flag, and it created a lot of anger then, but it sort of started a little bit of a tradition that is not good. Not good. I mean, it happened in North Carolina, NC
Well,
State. NC State planted the flag on
yep.
North Carolina's field. You
Mhm.
had a bunch of teams did it. Arizona State did it at Arizona, and it's not only not classy, but you're asking the other team to suspend what they would be okay with.
Right. So if you guys haven't seen our episode we did some months ago about court storming and field storming, check that episode out. I'll drop it in the comments down below so you guys can see it. But we talked a lot about this, and I don't think this is in the same category. I'm not for court or field storming banning. These people say ban it, don't let
Me
anybody
either.
on the field. I'm not for that. What I am for though is player safety, and
Yeah.
I'm for player conduct. And to me, this is a different category than students storming the field after a win and pulling the
Yeah.
goalpost down. You know,
I'm
I,
all
I
for
don't think I
student.
don't think you should take fun out of the game, and I think we need
Yeah.
to thread the needle here. We need to continue to have the fun and the celebration. When there's a major upset, it's what makes college football really, really special. Is when you
Yeah.
feel
I'm all for
storm the field.
celebrating in the end zone, having a good time. But
Um,
I think planting a flag on someone else's emblem is an absolute act of disrespect.
It's gotta stop. It's gotta stop.
It's got
And
to
and
stop.
also, not only that, but what Baker Mayfield started and what these guys are doing, not only is it classless, but the fields are all turf now, and you literally can't put the pole down in it. You
Yeah.
can't do it. You can't physically put it in there, so
So you have to like
it's
damage
kinda
the
stupid
field to
anyway.
put your
It's kinda
spikes
stupid
in there.
anyway, so I think this has got to end. We can't
Yeah.
allow this in the game. We've gotta find a way to allow field storming and court storming for students. but not have these after game brawls, which happened
Yeah.
all weekend. I could not believe how many games it was in. It was
Yep.
like 8 college games and 4 NFL games.
The NCAA was handing
Yeah.
out maximum fines to Virginia, Virginia Tech, Michigan, Ohio
Yeah.
State. They were
Let's
handing out
go
all these huge fines because they said, we're not going to tolerate this. And I actually surprisingly support this. It's not that I understand the argument. Hey, you need to learn you need to learn to lose with dignity. I get that, but don't disrespect my field and my fans. I'm not going to sit here and take that. I'll shake your hand, and I'll go
and say
to
good
the
game.
locker room and lick my wounds and be upset, but I'm not gonna act out or anything. But don't ask me to sit there and watch you disrespect my field and my fans,
No.
and ask me to not do anything or else I'm a bad loser. Like it's I
There's
don't see
there's a
that.
difference in them shaking hands and saying good game, and then the Michigan players going over to the one corner where all the Michigan students are and, like, celebrating there.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And, doing their college fight song and all that, that's
Yeah.
fine, totally fine. But
Yep.
there's another difference to have the whole team come out with the flag and try to plant it right in the middle of the Buckeye.
Yeah. It's
That's
a
that's not
disrespect move.
that's just not right. Let's go take a look at this clip, and then we'll talk about it.
Completely unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Get your win and get out of there.
So what are your thoughts about that? I mean, to me, it's clear these 2 teams hate each other, right?
Yep.
I will say, I'll give Ohio State credit. There were a lot of police officers and a lot of security in the middle of that ruckus. They couldn't handle all of them, but it's not like there was like 3 police officers and they're trying to control 180 players. There was a lot. I mean, like
There
30 or
was. I
40.
mean, but at the same
And
time, they had to resort to pepper spraying huge swaths of the teams, and it's just not a safe situation.
yeah.
There's no reason for it. You beat them, and you go to your locker room and you celebrate, or
Mhm.
maybe even you go to the corner where the student section is for your school, and you celebrate over there. But it just seems like this is an unnecessary inflammatory act that is preying on the other team having self-control.
I also will give credit to the coaches on both sides. They both were in there as well with the police, trying to break it up, trying to push their guys back. It's not like nobody was trying to break this up. I think there's just
But
so many players.
but Steve Sarkisian for Texas watched this happen earlier in the day, and when they beat Texas A&M, he had a policy, absolutely no like disrespect and get away from the emblem. That's leadership. Like that's a good thing. And
So you think
I think
Sarkisian
other
handled it
coaches
well?
should follow his lead.
I didn't really like the Michigan coach's answer in the press conference after this. I don't think he handled it very strongly. He was pretty weak about it. Well, there's going to be inflammatory feelings. There's
Yeah.
lots of emotion. It was almost like excusing it away, and I thought he really needed to be a little stronger than he was. He really did.
The most
Just
impressive coach I saw was Florida when he said, "That's not who we are," because Florida and Florida State did the same thing.
yeah,
Florida did the same
they all
thing,
did.
and, he
Yeah.
was embarrassed by his team acting like that, and he said, "We're better than this, and we'll try to get better from this." He wasn't trying to say there's some moral equivalency or it's semi okay. He was saying it was embarrassing. We should never do that. Like, we're better than that as a
All right,
program.
so we're agreeing we can separate flag planting and this classless behavior from field storming by students, right? We're agreeing with that. We
Correct.
can separate those 2.
I like field storming. I know that people can get hurt, and there's some things that go along with that. But I also remember when I did it when I was in college. It was one of my best memories in school. And it was such a great time. And as far as I know, nobody really got hurt. So you're hoping no one gets hurt, but also you're planting an incredible memory.
You don't wanna take that
Very
away from
special.
students. You don't wanna take it away.
No.
Matter of fact, my son, when NC State beat North Carolina his first year at NC State, they stormed the field, and he said it was one of his best memories in his years at NC State. So, you don't wanna take that away, you know?
Right.
It's a big part of the game.
The problem is it is foreseeable that somebody could get hurt, and then when they do, you can't sit there and say, "I didn't know this could happen." So that's trickier. This to me is not tricky. It should never happen.
Well, like the court storming we looked at where, a couple of the Duke players got hurt by, um, students that ran them over. The
Yeah.
one thing I did say is I'm not against it, I don't want it to be banned, but what I do want is the students to at least wait for the players to clear the court
Well,
before they
security
go
needs
on.
to
Yeah,
go form a cordon and get the visiting players off that court.
yeah, that's right.
So there's a way you can do it.
So next one is our team, UVA, also got into it with Virginia Tech in a much smaller way, and it was pregame. It didn't happen during the game or after the game, but happened pregame, but it got pretty ugly. There was a bunch of slugging fests in the face. Virginia Tech did a similar thing to what Michigan was doing. They were going over and they were forming a circle and standing on the Virginia logo. Not exactly stomping on it, but just kind of doing it in a very disrespectful way. They also were kind of pointing at Virginia and kind of taunting them and instigating them. And so Virginia took action. The players came out and they started getting into skirmishes one-on-one. It was almost like 50 different boxing matches going on. What were your thoughts about this at the Commonwealth Clash, along with many others?
I think it was embarrassing, but it was before the game, so it wasn't like poor sportsmanship. I think if you have team leaders, you can steer away from these kind of losses of control of yourselves, with the bitter rivalry sort of stoking the
But should
flames
the
of
but should the Virginia players just sit there and take that, or should they?
no.
I mean, what do you
No,
do?
it's hard in this case to point to an event like a planting of a flag that shouldn't happen. I don't think you have a brawl at the end of Michigan, Ohio State without an act that's inflammatory. So, you know, I don't know what happened in the Virginia Tech thing exactly, but something was. These
It was
games are
just it
powder
was just
kegs.
it
These
was
two
these
teams hate
guys.
each other, and they're absolutely going at each other, and they're looking for a reason to get amped up.
You know
So
what? These teams, they get too close to each other on the field. This is pregame, right? And all it takes is like one or two guys shouting across the field at the other guy,
yeah,
an insult, something about your mama or something, and that's it. It's all it takes because
yeah.
they're already like upset at each other, right? And
But I can tell you right now that planting a flag is going to do that. Like,
yeah.
it's you know.
Well, so is insulting each other. So I don't know. Maybe what you have to do is have them warm up in different end zones or something. I don't know. There's got to be
Well,
some way
that
to,
is how it's done normally.
yeah. There's got to be some way to keep these guys separated. So, all right. So next one was UNC NC State players fight at midfield after NC State's win on Saturday night. There was a big brawl that broke out. A North Carolina player took the NC State flag and disrespectfully threw it to the sideline, causing another big ruckus. This was a 35-30 game. It was Mac Brown's final game as a coach. NC State North Carolina rivalry is very heated, as you know. There are a lot of things being said, apparently. Apparently, the cameras caught some of the things being said, some of the trash talking. What are your thoughts about this? I mean, is this just to be expected in rivalry weekend, and this is what we're going to see now from now on among all these teams?
I think if you eliminate the planting of flags, you eliminate most of this. I think there will still be little skirmishes, but it won't be whole teams feeling bowing up and ready to fight. I do think these are classy programs that would like to control themselves no matter what the outcome.
But what about
And
grabbing the other team's flag? I mean, NC State can't allow that to happen either. North Carolina grabs their flag and
no,
stomps
I
on
think
it.
if you plant your flag on the other team's emblem, if they steal your flag, that's to be expected. Like, they're not going to sit back and take that. NC State shouldn't have done what they did, and then it led into Carolina doing what they did. So
you think NC State was the instigators in this one?
unfortunately, yeah, because I love NC State. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well,
That's why the Virginia one was less clear what exactly happened.
Yeah. Well, I watched the highlights, and it was essentially a bunch of shouting at each other. Both of them.
Yeah,
way
but
too
who
close.
started it? Nobody knows.
It just, a little skirmish started, and then eventually it was 50 guys all fighting together.
Yeah.
Let's go take a look at this NC State North Carolina one.
Griswold to throw. Now the pitches. Back over here to Hampton. He's got some blockers in front of him, but he's got to get moving. This will be the final play of the game. And that's how it'll end. NC State wins for the fourth time in this great rivalry. Fourth straight time. And for Mac Brown, the Hall of Fame career here in Chapel Hill comes to an end as these two rivals meet at midfield.
And what a game by both teams. Defenses played outstanding in the first half. Offenses came alive, and the tension in this stadium was palpable. And what a great scene with Mac and Dave Doran embracing at midfield. A lot of respect for each other. There's a fight, looks like, happening in the middle of the field with fans on the field. This is not a pretty scene. This is
not good.
This is scary. You got players with their helmets off.
This is a bad scene. Both in the middle of the field, the fight is spilled over to the NC State bench. The NC State wanted to plant the flag in midfield, and players like J.J. Jones took exception to it.
People laying on the ground, it looks like. This is a dangerous scene right now.
So what are your thoughts about that one? I mean,
just the same.
Can this be voided? I mean, is this?
Yeah, huge fines. Huge fines so that players are too scared to do it.
You can't legislate emotion out of the game. You're going to have
whoever plants the flag can't play for 3 games or something.
You can't get emotion out of the game. These rivalries are going to happen. People love the rivalries. It makes college football. So you can't get rid of all that. You got to do something to try to avoid these skirmishes as much as possible.
I think this would have ended just fine with everybody giving each other hugs and all that if somebody hadn't planted the flag. You know what I mean? That's my whole point. It's a powder keg.
So it's just one action.
One act of disrespect gets the team that lost upset. Yeah,
And by the way, if it was some team that you didn't care about, it probably wouldn't be as passionate. But this is like UNC, NC State.
right. You're probably not
They do
planting the
care.
flag if it's a team you don't care about,
Yeah, that's right.
So
All
they
right,
just
so
need to
Ben,
outlaw it, and they need to have high penalties for the people involved. So teams are incentivized not to do that, and they keep it classy, and then they're a good example for kids watching, and kids can watch and learn how to lose. Like their favorite team just lost. You can
all right,
kind
so
of feel that.
ban planting the flag. What else? What else can you ban? Because you want the teams to come to the middle and shake each other's hand. You
That's
want
it.
that.
Just planting the flag. I mean, you're gonna have skirmishes sometimes, but you can't legislate them all out. But you can take this out, which was the majority of the problems that happened this weekend.
Although they don't legislate fighting out of hockey, so I mean, are we going to start getting more of this, and that this makes entertainment?
They don't
or-
want hockey. They don't want hockey fighting to stop.
That's what I'm saying. So, do they really want to legislate this out, or does this make it more exciting? I don't know.
It's not more exciting.
Yeah,
Game's over. It's just
Yeah.
a dumb fight that happens. It's not.
yeah, I agree. I much prefer, me personally, to see them come to the center field, shake each other's hands, say
Yeah.
good game, I'll get you next year. Maybe a little bit of trash talk, but no shoving and fighting.
Right.
Completely agree. So last one here, there was a shoving fighting match between the mascots, Arizona State and Arizona. This thing got really heated and became a true boxing match where they got in a lot of big shots. And a lot of people were joking online that this was a better fight than the Tyson-Paul match. What are your thoughts about this? I mean, this, again, just another extension of a rivalry.
Kind
And
of
of course,
silly, but yeah, kind of the same things. I mean, this game they also had a planting of the scepter or whatever it is. Behind your head, there's that Arizona State trident thing.
Yep.
They tried to spike the trident, and they didn't like that. So Arizona took exception, and then there was a little bit of a fight over that. I just think, keep control of yourself, get your win, get out of there, and shake hands and go home.
Or maybe we get rid of all fighting except for the mascots. We let the mascots go at it.
You're not going to have fighting if you're
For
not having this
entertainment.
flag planting most of the time. You're
Yeah,
gonna
you're probably
have
right.
people handle
It gets
themselves.
the emotions up, and the team that's being disrespected, they can't just allow it to happen on their own
Correct.
field. So that's the
That's correct.
problem. Yeah. All right. Well, this will be last clip. Let's go take a look at it. I don't know. I think it could be entertaining. What do you think?
I don't think it is. I think when mascots play fight like that, it's entertaining. But anyway,
Well,
We've
same
already
incident occurred right after the flag planting. I agree with your solution. We're going to have to get rid of the flag planting. That has to stop. All
Yep.
administrations have to enforce it. We want this to be a good, respectful competition with passion, of course. I think that's what
yeah,
we come out.
and the reason the NCAA gave out fines was they're trying to preserve the sportsmanship in the game, and I kind of like that.
No, I agree with that.
So
I agree with that.
it's not a
Absolutely.
complicated issue. It's just real simple. You either think that the team needs to lose and take whatever is dished out, and if you didn't like it, you should have stopped them and all this stuff, or you think this is an unnecessary step over the line of what's reasonable for the defense, the team defending their home to accept, and there's going to be a fight every time. And is that something you want in football? I think football has to make sure it has a young person problem already. You don't want parents turning the game off because this happens all the time.
I do think, though, that you can ban the flag planting, you can reduce this, but I don't think you're going to get rid of this completely. You can't tell
No.
me there won't be some shoving matches at next year's Ohio State-Michigan game, even if
Probably
there's
will.
no flags on the field. So
Probably
You
will
can't-
because
Yeah.
this put enough of a bad taste in people's mouth. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's true.